This is Ernest. We're going to be looking at the logical progression of technology in the classroom. It's really important that someone just doesn't jump into a one-to-one laptop program if they have no other technology that's ever been in the classrooms. As I mentioned in one of the other presentations, it's really key that technology is rolled out in a phased process. If you want to go to having a completely, technological school as far as having technology in the classroom and every student having a laptop, if you're doing that to teachers at the same time they've never had a smart board or a projector in their classroom or other technology in their classroom, and you expect them to learn that and the laptop, that's really expecting an awful lot of the teachers to do that and to teach. That takes time to learn the technologies, and you need to give them some time to do that. We're going to look at planning. We're going to look at why some IT projects fail. We're going to look at the stakeholders. We're going to look at building ownership and support in some committees, what we love to hate. I hate committees, but they're an important process of also getting buy-in to the technology. We're going to look at some current classroom technology trends. We're going to look at the network infrastructure, interactive classrooms, what it means, and then access to some digital resources. This access to digital resources was specifically for the workshop that was held here at GCA. There was a CD-ROM that we gave out that had a bunch of resources on it. So those are available to those people who came to the class. But it'll give you an idea of what's available and what we'll be talking about. Development. When we're looking at planning, you need to realize that if you're going to do a rush job because you want to save your school because you're a parochial school or you're a private school and you're saying we need to get technology out there that's going to drive our numbers up, first of all, if you're doing a rush job, it's going to be botched. You need to spend time, you need to have a plan, you need to have people that are buying into the program. It takes time to adjust to great changes. It doesn't happen overnight. Your infrastructure needs to be in place before your laptops are on site. If it's not, you're asking for lots of headaches and lots of downtime. Those who fail to plan, as I've mentioned before, plan to fail. It's really important that you have a plan and you stick to that plan. You need to have a phased deployment, as we were talking about before. You have to slowly introduce the technology so the teachers can learn it while they continue to teach and adapt their lessons. Phase in technology in the classroom for a year at least before adding the laptops. Overhead projector systems, laptops for the teachers, so they start getting used to the technology. Why IT projects fail? Basically, there's a lack of a steering committee. If there's no one there that's saying, this is the direction we're going to go, and this is what we're going to make sure we do that. And at times, they have to say, no, you're not having this particular technology because that's not a part of where our focus and our goal is. No established core project team. You need to have a team that includes no more than 4 to 6 individuals, in my opinion, who are responsible for making 80% of the project decisions. It's got to be kept down to a smaller group so that way you can get decisions made and you can move forward. You need to be able to define the roles and responsibilities. More than one person has to be directly responsible for seeing it completed and continued. If it's only a one-man show, if that one man or one woman leaves, the show's over. That's why you need to have multiple people that are in the process. You need to have a master project timeline. This is key. You've got to have some anchor dates, or basically what are called drop dead dates. If we don't make it by this date, there's no way we can proceed because we don't have this done. So you need to have some of this built in there so that way when it comes time to turning the switch and turning it all on, there's not 5 things that are still left undone. And you need to have the full team support. If it's lacking, the project's going to tank. It's really important that you've got several people on board and they're helping out. Your stakeholders. Teachers are one of the key stakeholders that are sometimes overlooked. If the teachers aren't behind the program, it's not going to be successful. You have to have your administration behind it. You have to have your students. Now, your students may not always necessarily be 100% behind it because if you're rolling out a technology plan, as Dr. Gerard talked about earlier, if you're doing it right from a private school perspective, you're going to have several controls in place that students may not like. But at the same time, it has to be something where the students feel like, yes, they can use it even though they may not like some of the controls that are in place. And for the parents want those controls. And that's where your parents are also a key stakeholder. Your board, your conference office, and your financial contributors that are going to help sustain this plan. Building ownership and support. Teachers and students and administration need to understand that a one-to-one laptop program is going to change the curriculum. It's going to change part of your school culture. It's going to increase the technological needs and professional development. One of the ways you can do this is by using a committee of teachers, even some teachers who aren't necessarily for using technology very much. You bring them in, they become a part of the process. They start to get excited about, and they start to listen to other people in the committee saying, oh, we could do this with technology in the classroom. I hadn't thought about that. That helps increase their interest. If the teachers are not behind the technology, then I promise you it will fail. And I've seen that before. I've gone into a place where they rolled out a laptop program and some of the teachers weren't behind it. And because so many teachers were just telling kids to close the lids of the laptops in the classroom, the laptop program was not successful. You need to also know what current classroom technology is in there. What's being used in the classrooms today? And what are the teachers willing to use? How are they looking forward to using technology? Are the systems up for the teachers to project information overhead? Is there projection systems? Is there sound systems? What do they want? Has anyone ever asked the teachers? If no one's asked the teachers, then the teachers have absolutely no buy-in. Your network infrastructure is one of the key components. It's got to be enterprise class. You're only as good as the backbone you have behind us. Same thing with your infrastructure. If it's not solid, your network's not going to be solid. Are your switches enterprise class grade? Are your servers? Are your cabling? Are your access points? If you're going with small office, home office environments for your cabling and your wiring and your network, and it's not done to spec, you're going to have lots of, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There'll be kind of freaky, hard to troubleshoot problems going on your network. And you need to be able to control the devices and the software that's out there. If you don't have control, then your network infrastructure is going to run amok very quickly. An interactive classroom, what does it look like? Smart boards. I hate them. And let me tell you why I don't like smart boards. It's kind of hard to demonstrate this in a narrated PowerPoint, but I'll just kind of talk you through this. If you have a smart board, I think for elementary classrooms, they're fantastic. For small elementary classrooms. But if you're dealing with a high school class where you've got 15 to 20 kids in the classroom or more, then the problem is the teacher is tied to that smart board in the front of the classroom. They have no idea what's going on in the back of the classroom. That's why I believe the smart tablets or the tablets, the wireless tablets, InterWrite makes a fantastic one. And there's several other companies out there. The Wisdom makes them, stuff like that. But I have most experience with the InterWrite, so of course that's obviously what I'm going to lean towards. But the InterWrite makes a great tablet. You can walk around the classroom. Teachers are taught something that's called proximity. If you have a student in your classroom that's a stinker, you go stand by them. You can deal with it without disrupting the whole class. Whereas if you've got a smart board, you're tied to the front of the classroom. That's why I think tablets are so much better. The wireless tablets where they can walk around. You have all the functionality of the smart board built into a tablet. CPSs are classroom performance systems. They're excellent for helping the students to stay engaged in the classroom. Again, you've got several different companies, that are making them. E-Instruction or InterWrite. There's Smart makes them. There's just a lot of different technology, different companies out there that make CPSs. They may call them by different names, but they're all the same thing. Testing software like ExamView is excellent because you can scramble the test if you're using laptops. You can have different students getting different versions of the test. Britannica Online, if you're part of the SDA organization, the North American division, they've paid for all of the schools to get Britannica Online. Wikipedia, it's kind of a love-hate relationship. There's a lot of great resources in there, but not everything that's on Wikipedia is 100% accurate. So I've told students that if you're going to use Wikipedia, go down to where they're getting their sources from. And then go to the original source and make sure that it's valid. Wikipedia of itself is not necessarily valid. There's lots of virtual sites. And I've listed a lot of stuff on the interactive CD that we gave the teachers that came for this. And here's just an example of some of the resources. We had our PowerPoints over here on the right side of the slide of the different stuff we covered in the 3-day workshop. On the left side, just some of the ideas of, some great math sites we had on there. We had some virtual field trips, a Word document which listed all types of interactive 3D virtual field trips, and we checked these links as of this summer. But these are ideas just to give you some ideas of the resources that are out there. And you can do Google searches for all these things online. So if you don't have them, 10 ways to go beyond using PowerPoint with classroom projectors, do a Google search on that. You'll find the document where we originally pulled that from. Remember, when you're deploying out technology, you need to go slowly. Not too slowly, because you have to keep people motivated and on track. But at the same time, if you try to rush it out there, it's going to be botched. you need to visit some other schools with laptop programs or conferences. Now, I'm pretty comfortable in my technological skills. Doesn't mean I know everything. I'll be the first to tell you there's a lot I don't know. But at the same time, even though I do have a lot of experience in the IT field, before we rolled out a laptop program, I went and visited several different schools that had laptop programs, not because I didn't understand the technology, but because I wanted to go talk with them and see what were their pain points, what were the issues that came up that they weren't expecting. As you visit with someone like that, you will oftentimes find out things that they may not have remembered, or by seeing their actual environment, seeing how much people, what type of support issues are they having, how often are they having those issues. Those are all things that are kind of hard to quantify, but if you actually go into the environment, you can see it live. It gives you a better idea. I recommend that you visit a school that's running a one-to-one if you're looking at doing that. Determine the best grade levels for implementation, phase in your program, what type of professional development are you going to have, who's going to teach it, and then evaluate the progress, and you need to make adjustments throughout the way. In summary, you need to plan, and plan. You need to know who your stakeholders are. You need to get them involved early in the process. You need to build ownership and support. You need to have your committees. Your committees will help build your ownership, will help get your stakeholders involved. Understand what current classroom technology is being used and what can be used. Know the current network infrastructure. If you have no idea what you're doing or what the current network is, there's no way you can really plan for the future. How are you going to develop or make interactive classrooms? One-to-ones don't solve all your problems. Yes, they help engage students, but an interactive classroom is also a necessary component. And a one-to-one doesn't necessarily make an interactive classroom. There's other components. What resources are teachers willing to use? What's going to be your deployment schedule? How are you going to deploy it? And then you need to evaluate your progress and adjust your plans. I hope some of this information was useful to you. Thank you for your time.